Hey, it's Mike Coppage here, and I am going to try to give a brief description of the Louisiana football playoff system in terms of select and non-select schools. This was a request from someone on Facebook yesterday, and I'm always willing to take requests for topics that you guys would like me to address in terms of Louisiana prep football and recruiting. So this is my second take on this video. The first one just kept running on and on because it's a relatively complicated and is also a topic that goes back several years in terms of what led to this. So I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. I'm going to go through the timetable. First of all, what first got this movement going was the fact that two small private schools were dominating Class 5A and Class 4A football over a decade ago. And in 5A it was Evangel Christian, and in 4A it was John Curtis Christian. So when the current commissioner of the LSHAA, Kenny Henderson, took over, he had mentioned that he was in fact of putting what he described as these two football factories down in their actual enrollment class, because Evangel had both schools had enrollments that were much smaller than 4A and 5A. So when the LSHAA passed a movement around 2005 or 2006 to make schools play in their actual enrollment class, that put Evangel down from 5A to 1A, which is of course the smallest football classification in Louisiana. John Curtis was moved down from 4A to 2A. So that made the large schools happy that Curtis and Evangel weren't around in 4A and 5A anymore. But what then happened is Curtis and Evangel started dominating Class A and Class 2A. And that, of course, was upsetting to the small schools that felt like they didn't have a chance to compete against these two juggernauts. So last year, the LSHAA split schools into two separate divisions. Non-select and select are basically public and private schools for purposes of the playoffs. And what happens is during the regular season, public and private schools all compete together, and then once the playoffs start, there are the 5 classes for the public schools, and there are 4 divisions or 4 classes for the select schools, which also include not only private schools, but they include some magnet schools like Scotlandville, Grambling, Southern Lab, Byrd. So now we have 9 state champions instead of 5, and a lot of people complain that the competition is watered down. My response to that is there's a ton more players now. They're getting their chance to shine. They're getting the benefit of playing in the state championship. More players are in the playoffs. More players are getting a chance to showcase their wares in front of college recruiters. So I like it. As far as people saying that the competition's watered down, I point to the semifinals last year in the Division III select bracket. A 1-point game, 34-33, with Calvary Baptist beating Catholic New Iberia. Now the following week was a blowout when Calvary handled Archbishop Hannon in the state championship. But that's just because the bracket doesn't necessarily seed the teams 1 through 32 in order of strength. It was clear in the preseason that Catholic New Iberia and Calvary Baptist were going to be the best 2 teams in Division III. But I think this is here to stay in Louisiana, and I think probably Division III and Division IV could be combined, because a lot of teams in Division IV had byes in the first round, and I think you could probably consolidate those 2 divisions. But what actually, in my mind, pushed the LSHAA to split the schools was when John Curtis won the national championship a few years ago. It just didn't sit right with a lot of people that John Curtis, a 2A school, won the national championship. And I'm not expressing any opinions on any of that. I'm just telling you what the public consensus was and what the reasons were behind the public-private split for the playoffs. And I think it's here to stay. I like it, and I don't see where it's hurting any schools. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like it, but I wanted to explain it for the person who requested that I address the topic, and I hope I did it as clearly and as succinctly as possible. I could have gone into a lot more detail, but I try to keep all these things as brief as possible because, as you know, I can talk or write for a long time. So, peace. I might be out for a few days. I'll get back with y'all soon, and thanks for watching as always. I'm out.